What is your name and your occupation?
First name is Earl, Earl. Last name is McKay, Mckay. And I am currently employed at Cook County Department of Corrections as a deputy director.
My name is Carlos Vega. I am an intervention navigator at Bill Inc., which I've been working for 5 years.
What made you get involved in the job that you work?
And a lot of people in the Black community that was pushing concealed carries, and it was kind of like easy access, but the Black community just didn't have any knowledge on it.
I used to be one of the kids that I worked with, right? I spent 14 years in prison. I used to be a gang chief in prison. So that's the reality of it. That was me at one point. So because of that lifestyle, I came to Bill through a couple of the guys that I used to be in prison with, and they told me there was a slot open at Bill. Was I willing to come and work? And I went to work for Bill.
I felt I could be more impactful, keeping our youth from coming, to the judicial system. And I decided to go, back into law enforcement. And it's still the same mission, trying to be as helpful as possible.
What's your view on firearms, like in general?
It's a challenge, right, to educate our people in the community, because I do that with a lot of kids I work with, right? Why do you want to carry a pistol and be illegal when you can easily, be legal, right? I mean, you want to be able to defend yourself, but you don't want to be illegal because you're going to prison, right, if you get caught with the pistol.
Well, immediately, my first thought is it's too many guns on the street, and most of those guns are in the wrong hands. I think that we do need firearms, but we need to be educated.
Well, obviously, protecting yourself, protecting your family, using it as a shield, not as a weapon.
Do you believe that it should be more things you have to go through in order to get a gun? Do you believe that people should have less access, or what do you think about that?
I don't think it should be as easy as only having the ID, because there's some people that
can take advantage.
Exactly. So I think it should be easier for me. That's just my personal feeling. But obviously, I agree with how they do it a little bit.
It's unfortunate that legally to get it, it takes a process, a long process.
I think in terms of the process, the way they do it now, in terms of the application, the FOIA cards and all that stuff, yeah, you have to have more scrutiny on who gets a weapon or who's allowed to get a weapon. Because you don't want somebody that has, for example, a mental illness to get a weapon.
Do you think it's important that we protect the youth, or just other people protect the youth to steer them away from gun violence, or try to help them go down different pathways besides street violence or gun violence?
That they were removed from, the everyday violence and the headache, and then they had a chance to be, a kid or a child. Now, our youth need more of that, as opposed to, dodging bullets, gangs, fights, etc., etc.
I create a program to teach our young people, about weapons. They should do it in the brown and Black community. They should be able to be, taught how to use a weapon, how to secure a weapon, how to, be safety first, right? That should be a priority in our schools, because we know that these children have access to weapons.
Do you believe that the pandemic played a role in the amount of gun violence in Chicago this year?
I think it was kind of equal. The thing is, the people that was affected by the pandemic are not people that was on the street. It was people that was at work and stuff. So gun violence and street violence was the same.
It did increase, and partly because before the pandemic, we didn't wear masks. So with everybody wearing masks, there was, a spike in crime. Just a bunch of factors that went into it. People were laid off from their jobs. You couldn't get things like you wanted, before the pandemic.
So how do you feel with working with guns and it also being a lot of gun violence where we live, Chicago?
I carry, but I don't use. I try to diffuse and talk my way out of the situation before I have to use the actual firearm.
I gotta feel like I'm protecting them in some type of manner. So, like having a gun is not necessarily the boast to be like, oh, I got a gun. It's like to shield me for someone else that's trying to use one against my family or trying to harm my family or something like that. So,
what do you think? Like, what's the solution that you can think of on top of your head that you think like this will help decrease gun violence, or I know I will see a change if this happened? Like, what do you think that would be?
So we just got to get to the point where we can, give our youth some way to deal with this, where your thought is, I don't need to pull a gun out, but you look like me. Why should I want to harm you? Can we work this out together? And we can agree to disagree, but we at least get to walk away and we don't destroy each other's lives.
If it's one thing that everybody you talk to could leave with, what message would that be in relation to gun violence?
You turn 18 to get that FOID card. Be legal. Don't waste your life.
Think before you do. Because once you do, you can't take it back.
That was a good message.